No. Not the kind of answer you'd expect from somebody who calls himself a doctor. Sometimes words can hurt a lot more than syringes, scalpels, and serrated blades, you know? That's the kind of reply that makes patients lose any kind of hope they might have left. I mean, what's the point of listening to anything that comes after that? You suddenly get a ringing in your ears, just as the realization kicks in and you find yourself slowly going numb, as you are progressively becoming unplugged from reality. Without warning, your mind is assaulted by a load of inescapable thoughts you imagined would never have to deal with, because you figured, as everybody does, that something would just snatch you away from existence, without you ever having to face your own mortality and question every single decision that you'd made up until then. With a sudden yank, the veil is permanently lifted and time becomes all too real. Before, it was like having an unwanted guest, barging in without knocking and without you noticing. An intrusive thought that would disrupt your organized conscience every now and then. But now it feels like you're running on a very tight schedule, except that you're not running anywhere. You're not going anywhere, and not with the short leash that you've been given. A leash that ends in a noose around your neck, which diligently tightens its grip with every breath you take. Still, the gearless, invisible train that is time will maintain its course, and you will, without a doubt, be dragged away by one of its eternal carriages when your time is up. That's what a single word can feel like. A signal to an unforeseen end, now within sight. Or it can simply be the very first word of what turns out to be the last chapter of someone's life, with a few more sentences to follow before the inevitable end. A word can easily and irreparably break someone, although there's never a way to truly witness it, or even express it. For that, you'd have to trade places and be in their shoes. Imagine looking at your own body. A body you thought was made of very concrete rocks, and now quickly turning to sand and seeping away, through seams that you never wanted to acknowledge to have always been there. Through seams, cracks, holes, and other imperfections that were there, put there, even before you were conceived. You were always meant to crumble. Unfortunately, that's not my case. Seeing how I'm still waiting for such destructive, life-shattering yet meaningful words like those to reach me, I reckon that it could be some of the best news I could ever get. I'm ready to welcome just about anything at this point, any sort of development, but apparently that's just too much to ask. Are they just taking their time with me? Is that it? Are they even trying anymore? Or is this what happens to be the so-called medical oddities? I can play dumb. I've done so countless times by now out of spite and boredom. But I am not dumb. I need to know what's wrong with me. I've already told them, begged them to put me out of my misery if they can't find some sort of explanation or permanent treatment. But the bastards are against it. They don't mind running all kinds of demented and unethical tests on me, just as long as it doesn't kill me. Something that I would be more than happy with at this stage. What irony. Just goes to show you how cocky they all are. I would do it to myself if I had any strength left. This guy, whatever he thinks he just said, I know for a fact that he doesn't mean shit to me, and he knows it too. He's trying to hide it, but it shows. It's all over his face, just like the stacks of paper, my test results, that he keeps glancing over with a pathetic, rehearsed look of defeat, as if he expected to find some error in there, something that he already knows he didn't miss the first few times around. What more can I say? I guess none of the staff and I would be here in the first place if it weren't, well, for my condition. I am not the usual patient. Does he even know how many before him gave me the exact same answer, while sitting on that very same chair? Even I have lost count at this point, which is something I do just to pass the time and entertain myself. I would try to memorize every face and pin its respective name to it, and sometimes I try to figure it out by their features, shapes and the crap they put on their desk from where they had come from. It really was nothing but a stupid, silly mental game for one player only, But still, no words can express how grateful I was for still having the ability to entertain myself in such an unimaginative way. It kept my little mind busy, but time always finds a way to suck the meaning out of everything. I still remember some of them, some of what they did to me and others for purely anecdotal reasons. What I really can't forget is some of their names. Actually, that might be why I started caring less and less about them over time in the first place. I could never tell if they were being serious or if each and every time they were just messing around with me. I don't get any visitors, and it's not like I have a way to verify their credentials and their identities, but I couldn't help but feel like the joke was always on me. It's true that with so many doctors being drawn to my case, I'm bound to get an odd-named one every now and then. It's true that with so many doctors being drawn to my case, I'm bound to get an odd-named one every now and then. But sometimes I get the feeling that this is all scripted, and everybody's playing their part just to get some sort of reaction out of me. There was Dr. Head with so many wild ideas and experimental treatments that never amounted to anything. Dr. Spiker, who hated needles and all other things pointy, and preferred a more hands-on approach. Dr. Lovejoy, who finally gave into depression. Dr. Graygrave, who couldn't speak after some sort of trauma rendered him mute. Dr. Goodson, who just happened to be the child of 2 insane serial killers, as well as their final victim. And of course, the unforgettable, Dr. Hertzmore and the always forgettable, Dr. Painville. The list goes on, but it's not like I care anymore. They're all gone, all in the past. And now it's this schmuck turning to play doctor with me. What was his name again? Oh, right, Dr. Powers. This isn't our first session, but I can already tell that he won't be here for too long. It's always a bad sign when they can't even stand to look me in the eye, but it sure as hell tells me right away whether they have the guts or not for the task at hand. Not this guy though, no. He would rather pretend there's nothing more he can do and pat himself on the back later on and pretend he did the best that he could. All this is making me especially cranky. I won't be taking this crap again. Well, at least not today, and certainly not from him. What the hell do you mean, no? Dr. Powers instinctively looked up and his gaze met mine, if only briefly. Yeah, that definitely shook him up a bit. I get it though. Even to me, my voice sounds so wrong and alien. No one should sound like I do, or even have to listen to anything that comes out of my mouth. That's why I avoid talking most of the time. Although the pain that comes with speaking is most definitely a factor to consider as well. Was my voice always like this? Was I always like this? I don't remember a lot of things anymore, and I feel like they're keeping me in the dark on purpose. That's probably the #1 reason for my occasional outbursts. The fact that I'm totally helpless by myself, and that no one seems to really be trying to work this out anymore. Like I said, there's nothing more I can do. The results are pretty conclusive. According to this, there's nothing wrong with you. You're perfectly... As soon as he started talking, I mustered up what must have been a day's worth of strength, and I slammed my poor excuse of a fist on the arm of my wheelchair that I was brought in. I thought it would sound a lot more loud and dramatic than it did, but at least it worked. This time, I really got his attention. Healthy. I had to cut him off before he could finish his nonsensical observation. Dr. Powers looked up once again, and realized how ridiculous his statement would have been considering that he's facing the very embodiment of what a healthy person could never look like. There is nothing more to be said here, so I let him know the session is over by spitting some blood across the table. The blood doesn't reach him, but he knows that I was aiming for him, and that's good enough for me. Dr. Powers calls for an orderly, and all I can do is wait to be wheeled back to my room still in this sorry state. If I could express myself some more, I would tell Dr. Powers how pathetic and powerless he really is, but he probably wouldn't get it. It doesn't really matter either. After this, he's sure to be replaced sooner rather than later. Despite the pain, the gurgling of mucus and the constant taste of blood in my mouth, I take solace in knowing I can still laugh in their faces, even though nobody else sees it that way, and just tells me I need some rest. And these small victories are all that I have left, but in the end, it's still my loss. I always end up leaving the same way that I came in, feeling like absolute crap. Dr. Powers is dead. The nurse by my side delivered the news without warning. What surprised me the most was her detached and unfazed attitude as she said it, while readying the shot that will be pumped shortly into my veins. How? Don't know. It doesn't matter. You'll be notified as soon as the next one is given clearance. See, if the higher-ups are as straightforward with me as the nurses are, I'm sure I'd be feeling a lot more optimistic. But they still creep me out sometimes, with their unblinking eyes and frozen looks. But at least they don't beat around the bush. Of course, there's only so much they're allowed to say. After all, they only come by to give me the shot to ease some of the pain. I think it's some sort of potent hybrid cocktail, a mix between sedatives and some new medical drugs. But it does its part, and it's the only thing that I'm thankful for. The pain never really goes away though, but if I could put it into words, I'd say it's just momentarily put somewhere at the back, while some other sensations flow in and keep my mind busy. What baffles me the most is how my shriveled and frail body can take such a powerful drug on a regular basis. I mean, I can't move by myself. What's left of my skin is crudely plastered against my skeletal frame, and I feel like I'm at the end of the line all the time. If I had to describe what I'm going through, the closest thing I can think of is hunger. After skipping a few meals, the average person will get the normal contractions in their stomach. It's like having a pebble or a fist inside you build up for a while, after which comes a momentary release. In my case, it's something of the sort, only it's infinitely worse. Imagine the worst kind of hunger you'd ever been put through. The kind where you can clearly sense some sort of black hole within your entrails that quietly withers and cries away everything close to it. The kind that makes you think, if this keeps going, I'll surely die. Now imagine what it would be like if you had not just one of these little holes inside of you, but one for every cell, for every atom that makes up your very existence. I feel like I'm collapsing in an infinite number of directions, or being folded and constantly put back together. My teeth are gone, my nails have stopped growing for a while now, and the last strands of hair I have left are weaker than a spider's web. Everything in me hurts continuously, and to make matters worse, I can feel them all. These countless voids of origin unknown. And yet, I'm still here. Whenever I feel like I'm finally going to expire, I find myself listening to what must be my final heartbeat. But another always follows, and then another, and another. I'm beating the insurmountable odds with every pain breath I take, even though I've stopped fighting it in the hopes that my body would just finally shut down. I wish that they would release me from this ridiculous state. That's why I welcome the swab, the needle, and the ephemeral bliss that follows. It's the closest thing that I have that resembles freedom, and for an uncertain period of time, I can forget about my condition and I am taken elsewhere by this state-of-the-art miracle drug. Who knows? If I'm lucky, there's always the odd chance that I might overdose and never wake up again. The nurse has left the room and I can already feel the tingling growing and taking over my pitiful body. This is the moment where I remember the other reason why I always look forward to this. The doctors think it's nothing but dreams and random hallucinations, but I know that that's not the case. I haven't told them anything substantial, but it's always the same thing. And deep down inside, I have no doubts about what it is that I'm seeing. My own memories. I find myself in some sort of courtroom where a trial is ongoing. And then I realize that this isn't really a room, but the outside world. Curious as to why this is happening, I look around and it takes me but a moment to notice that there's a sea of people gathered around, as far as the eye can see. Millions gathered, all here for the trial. I feel like I shouldn't be there. There's something very wrong about it, but I can't quite find the right reasoning. I keep trying to remember how it is that I got there, and how they managed to find me and drag me here for all to see. A loud sound drowns my mental landscape, and I look around to find its source. And then I notice the abnormally large speaker, through which all sorts of crimes are being read out loud. This is when I remember that I'm the one being put on trial, and also when a second realization pops in mind. That they're using an automated system to read out everything. Because a living, capable human being would pass away before finishing the seemingly ever-growing list of crimes that I'm being accused of. Sure enough, every time I blink, it seems that everyone ages considerably. Some more than others, but they're always replaced by newcomers. They don't allow me to sit, and I'm forced to stand up through it all. I grow anxious, especially as the absurd list goes on and the crowd keeps on cheering. And then comes another dreadful realization. This infinite crowd, this gathering of people of all ages and ethnic backgrounds isn't here to just witness this event. They're the jury. When I realize just how screwed I really am, the speaker, as if taking notice, shouts out the final words directed at me. For the crime that is life, the sentence is. Before I get to hear the end of it, everything goes dark and I find myself thrown in a pitch-black cell. The duration of the trial feels like nothing compared to the time I'm spending there, and yet I miss the crowd and the attention that I got, even though it was all ill-directed at me. Nobody ever comes by, nor do I get any food or water. There's nothing but me and nothingness itself, which I find more overwhelming than it has any right to be. I feel like they left me in that indescribable void, just long enough for about everybody to forget that I ever came into existence. And then came the blinding lights and the man in white who took me to where I am now, to someplace deep underground and far from the surface. Somewhere where I'm... Tomorrow you'll be taken to see the newly appointed doctor. The nurse's voice sounds different, and pulls me back into this miserable reality. I wonder how long I was out, and then I realize that I'm still here, and the first thing that I want to do is curse everyone and everything into oblivion. The nurse doesn't stick around long enough to give me the chance to do so, and leaves just as quickly as she came. Damn. I figured that they would send a woman this time. That's what they do when I don't get along with the arrogant male douchebags. And I was right. The room hasn't changed much, but something feels off. Maybe it's because she's been looking at me with a piercing gaze since I was brought in her office. Or maybe it's the young man in the corner taking notes of everything that's happening. I was told that he was some sort of intern, possibly the next one in line to try and treat me. But that doesn't really bother me. She does. She looks quite young to play the part, yet somehow she feels ominously able and informed. She's still studying my appearance, and nothing seems to be too distracting for her, or even off-putting. No words have been exchanged between us just yet, so I decide to break the ice and I go for the obvious first question. I might as well get it over with and find her a nice spot in my mental archive before I inevitably forget everything about her. Name. The woman produced a smile as soon as she heard me speak, and what followed was a development I could never anticipate. Tell me, do you remember your name? She knows that I don't. I've stopped begging for them to tell me, seeing as according to them it's related to what I'm going through. If I forgot about it, there must be a reason, and as such they need to identify it first before doing anything else. I don't really get it, but whatever. No. Well then, it wouldn't be fair for me to have a name now, would it? Well, that's definitely a first. I'm intrigued. You're the patient and I'm the doctor, so just call me doctor. Does that work for you? I make an effort to nod, curious to see what comes next. Alright. You got that down, kid. She addressed the young man, also leaving his name out of it. I can't see him from here, but he must have beckoned for her to carry on. Her gaze found mine once again. As you know, there are some things I'm not allowed to discuss with you, but let me make this very clear. I'm not here to waste my time, or yours for that matter. I've read and I've studied all of your previous records, so I know what has and hasn't been done for you so far. Did she just say that she went through all of my records? All of them? And as such, I have a new approach I want to propose to you. That's what everyone says at first. But the new approach is nothing but a fancy term to mask the unspeakable and unfathomable exams that are somehow greenlit. Not like I have a choice. Whether I say yes or no, it's all the same to them. All we'll do, you and I, is talk. A moment of silence followed. What? Don't get me wrong. I know how hard it is for you to form longer sentences, which is why I brought you this. The doctor reached for one of her pockets and took out a small file which contained a yellowish substance. I'm not allowed to mess with your daily meds, but I can give you something to topple some of the effects. Next time you come by, we should be able to have a pleasant chat. What do you say? I can't tell what exactly she's trying to accomplish. Or is this nothing but another facade? She sees that I'm struggling to form some sort of reply, so she calls for the young man and passes a file on to him so he may administer it to me. They both wait for a sign that tells them that I agree to it. Seeing as this is the first time in a long while somebody actually cared for my consent, I nod and they go through with it. Almost immediately, the pain in my throat shrinks to a more bearable size, and it doesn't take me long to realize words are now coming out with relative ease. How is talking going to help me? Or you? Oh, it won't help you. Not the way you think, at least. You might find this hard to believe, but you're the only one that can help your doctor. The young man interjected abruptly and the doctor seemed annoyed at first, but then she ended up chuckling. Right. I've said too much already. For now, get some rest and don't talk too much. She winked playfully. I'll see you soon. Are you sure that we should be doing this? If they find out we're breaking protocol, They won't find out anything, said the doctor to her student. You report to me and I to them. As long as this is clear, we have nothing to worry about. Besides, she took a drag of her cigarette and blew it in the air of her own office. It's not like they're really trying to fix the patient. They just send us down here one after the other to make it seem like we're making some sort of progress, when we both know that that's never been the case. The young man looked anxious, perhaps even fearful of what their actions might cause them and everyone else. The doctor continued. After all of this time, I feel like the least we could do is give the patient a chance to work it out for himself. If he figures it all out, good for him and bad news for the lot of us. If not, everything stays the same and it'll be up to someone else to either carry on the dirty work or to try something else like we're doing. But why? Why would anybody want to go against the protocol? This is why she liked him so much. He always helped her put everything into perspective and also assess her own reasons and state of mind. Frankly, I'm not too keen in having a part in this. You said it yourself 1,000 times, Doc, that this isn't treatment, it's containment. I know, she said, as she put her cigarette out and walked over to him. But we're here now, and we're definitely doing this. You just have to shut up while I do the talking and write it all down. As for the why, she walked back and sat down on her chair and raised her elegant legs in the air before she stretched them across the table. Why not? So, what are we doing exactly? The doctor noticed how clear my voice sounds now, and how I wasn't particularly grateful. At least now I could get to talk back some more. I'll be asking you some questions, and all I want is for you to think really hard about it, and then give me the best answer that you can. Just don't worry too much about it. You're also free to ask me anything you want. Great. Mind if I start? Go ahead. You said this wasn't going to help me, so what's the point? I can't do anything regarding your current condition. Nobody can. There's only one way you can ever hope to get better. How? You can start right now by talking to me and answering the following questions. I'm not sure what game they're playing or what sort of exam this is, but I'd take the bait. Alright, shoot. Did you know that the drug currently being used to soothe your pain was tested on some of the largest and biggest mammals on Earth? I actually didn't know that, but it didn't seem too far-fetched. After all, why would they test something like that on people? Animals seemed like the next obvious choice. No, I didn't. Don't you find that odd? Wait, just how many questions do you get to ask before it's my turn again? Please, I just want you to get to the bottom of your reasoning. Fair enough. What's so odd about testing drugs on animals? The doctor looked over to the young man in the corner to be sure that he was keeping track of everything, and then followed on. Alright, allow me to twist the question around a bit. Why are tranquilizers and sedatives needed for animals like elephants and bears? That's a silly question. Because they're dangerous and strong, and something like that quickly can put them to sleep, or just stop them right in their tracks. Only after I said those words did I realize what she had meant the first time around. Wait, hold on. The doctor smiled and bit her bottom lip. Yes. I'm weak as shit and old as hell. Why would they, I mean, if you're telling me the truth, how can my body take something like that? Maybe you're not as weak as you might think. What the hell is she on about? Is she on drugs too? Okay, now I'm really starting to. My turn now, next question. It's weird how she seems to be having fun with this. If I go along with it, I might find out some more interesting bits. Well, this one isn't exactly a question per se. More like a riddle that I came up with. Yeah, she's acting like a kid alright. I wonder what the hell brought her here in the first place. She doesn't belong here. Alright, this might sound kind of hard, but it's not the case, really. Just listen carefully. And you. She looked towards the intern, whom I felt was about to say something. No interruptions, got it? Good. After a few seconds, he got back to writing again, more angrily too from the sound of it. My thoughts quickly started to drift towards what the doctor was saying and trying to make sense of it. Consider this. A man realizes that he wants to be a father, and so he decides to have a son. As soon as the baby is born, the father puts him inside a house, locks the front door from the outside and leaves, never to be seen again and leaving the baby on his own. Drugs. She definitely does drugs. Has to. But this house, you see, it has every good thing that's ever existed. The baby has all he needs to grow up, become a successful person, and maybe one day even raise his own family. But the house also has everything that's bad, right? The things that can hurt the baby. Things that can completely twist the way he perceives his surroundings, which could even get him and others hurt, or killed. The father just left him there to discover everything by himself. He doesn't know the difference from right or wrong, good or bad. The baby will just have to find out for himself, seeing as he will never have his father around to look up to. So, I brace myself for what is sure to be the toughest and weirdest question that I've ever been asked. Besides the fact that this baby will never meet his real father during his lifetime, do you think the baby is missing anything else in the house? Did the father forget to leave something behind? And again, Remember that the house is everything he needs to become someone, for better or worse. Well, it does. Whoa, hold it, champ. I said you could think about it and that there were no correct answers. Only the answer you come up with. No need to rush it. I know that, but you said that the father locked the door. And I assume that it must be the same for every other door or window that leads to the outside. Right? Yes, the father never wanted his baby to come outside. So does the baby have a spare set of keys in the house? The doctor didn't answer right away, but I did get to hear the intern for the first time. Holy sh... Hush, I told you to be quiet. She looked angry for a moment, and then turned to me once more. As for your question, yes, the baby happens to have an extra set of keys. In that case, I think the baby has all that he needs. After all, if there's an outside world besides the house, he has all the right to explore it. Never mind his deadbeat dad. I don't see why he shouldn't be able to go outside. But if the father never wanted him to come out, he didn't forget to leave something behind, but rather, he forgot to take the extra set of keys with him. The doctor smiled and clapped. Correct. I thought you said... I lied. See, I knew that you'd be good at this, but I wasn't expecting this kind of a result right off the bat. Holy shit indeed. Your turn now. Our time's almost up, so make sure you ask something meaningful. How can I come up with anything? My brains had been fried, and I don't understand the point of all of this. I can somehow relate to most of the things that you're saying, but I just don't see how. Remember, said the doctor, this is all about you. After giving it some thought, I decided that there's nothing else I could ask but this. Who am I? You're just the guy that left his keys behind. That's all. She sounded somewhat sad as she answered, but those words ignited something in my brain. Sparks were made, and a couple of dots were connected. Is that how they found me? That's what put me on trial. I heard the intern's pen snapping in half as I saw the doctor's face lose its color, suddenly looking terrified. The young man intervened again, and this time more vigorously. Doctor, I think that's all for today, yes? We're done for now, I believe. She seemed distraught. Yes, I think we're done for today. You did good. Well above my expectations, that's for sure. I had so many questions now, but she had already buzzed the button, and the orderly was on his way to take me back to my room. After all of this, I couldn't help but feel defeated once more as I slipped back into my eternal condition. But the doctor's last words managed to instill some sort of hope in me. If you would just remember who you are. Doctor, enough already. All your questions would be answered. And now more than any other time that I've been here, I know the answer I should be looking for. It's one of those which have been kept from me for so long, one that's seemingly impossible to obtain, but now I know just how powerful it is. Yet I feel like there's nothing more that I can do. I've dwelled deep into my memories and tried to remember anything that could come close to being a hint. I've begged them all to tell me. I would plead on my knees if I could. I prayed to every deity I could think of, but no answer ever came. Something everyone has the right to have, and the right to know. Something which was taken from me a long time ago. I know that if I could remember it, all of this would end. This torment would cease, and I would be the one to put an end to it. Who am I? What am I called? Someone, please, say my name. The doctor sat in the office, still shaking. The young man came in through the door and brought her a warm cup of tea and put it into her hands. Thanks. The intern sat down and buried his face in his hands. The doctor took a sip before speaking up. I never thought he'd have some memories left. It must be the medication that's making him subconsciously remember. Not just any memories though. How can he remember the trial? That shit supposedly took place Supposedly? Said the doctor, cutting him off. Does that mean you had any doubts about what it was we're dealing with down here? Of course. To me, it's nothing more than a fictional tale. I had to come here and see it for myself, and even now, I'm not sure if I'm convinced. The doctor felt somewhat betrayed by the young man's doubt. And then again, she used to be just like him, needing concrete evidence above all else before making up her own mind. Boy, she said, come here right this instant. He immediately obliged, not wanting to piss off his teacher further than he had already done by now. As soon as he was by her side, the doctor looked at him with an inquisitive look. Do you know why he's being kept alive? Why we just can't let him die? He didn't answer. She pointed to the tea inside of her cup. See this? Inside the cup, there's everything that's ever existed. No ma'am, that's just tea. I should know, I'm the one who made it. The young man saw the doctor frowning and immediately apologized for his tasteless observation. Please, carry on with your adorable analogies. Shut up. As I was saying, inside this cup is all that's real. You, me, this office, even the shitty tea that you made, whether you believe it or not. Lovely. Thanks. So now I ask you, what would happen if the cup were to suddenly be removed? Disappear, as if it were never here in the first place. The intern stood quiet for a moment. Come on now, it's not a tricky question. Well, the tea would just fall to the ground. It would be a waste. It's not that bad, is it? It is, but that's beside the point. If that were to happen, everything would disappear. Permanently. You understand? Without the cup, everything would just cease to be. It would all be gone. The lights out, just like that. She snapped her fingers to make her point come across. The young man sat down again, crushed by the reality of his teacher's words and the seriousness of the whole affair. So that man, he's really holding all this together without even knowing. The doctor nodded, and the intern looked up at the ceiling in silence for a brief moment. Well, shit. To think that he was real after all. The doctor sipped her tea for the last time, one which left a rather sour taste in her mouth, before putting an end to their debate. Yep,